world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. Let's start it off in Montreal with a fight that happened very recently. Undefeated WBC number 3, WBA number 3, WBO number 3, IBF number 7, super middleweight Eric Bazinyan, 32-0-1, 23 knockouts, and Shaquille Finn battled to a 10-round draw at the Casino de Montreal in Montreal, Canada. Bazinyan got all he could handle from Finn, who pressed the action and seemed to do more. Scores were 97-93 Finn, 96-94 Bazinyan, 95-95. So, peculiar result there, but nonetheless earned by Finn. Boots Ennis is set to defend the unbeaten IBF welterweight champ, Jerron Boots Ennis, 31-0, 28 knockouts. Will defend his world title against unbeaten mandatory challenger Cody Crowley, 20-0, 9 knockouts, at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia on Saturday, July 13th. That's going to be shown worldwide on DAZN. In the first fight as world champion, Ennis will return to fight in his hometown for the first time since November 2018, said Ennis. I'm excited for my homecoming, especially being the first to fight at the Wells Fargo Center, the biggest arena in Philly. I can't wait to show out and put on a beautiful, dominating, crushing performance in front of my family, friends, and supporters while defending and retaining my IBF world title in spectacular fashion. I'm ready to step on any and everybody that's in my way, responded Crowley. 10 years ago, I arrived in Las Vegas with a dream of becoming world champion, unbroken by the sport. The only thing left to do is prove to the world in the city of brotherly love that I am an undefeated champion. My spirit is unbeatable, and I will fight for those who are too scared to fight. Talk and fight. Speaking of talk and fight, we got Mike Tyson here yabbling away for a sec. As we all know, let's just go with the flow in this particular article because it is a bit confusing. It's reported in the Mirror over in the UK, written by Declan Walsh. Former world heavyweight champ Mike Tyson has criticized the current generation of boxers for their lackluster style, comparing it to watching grass grow. And he expressed his disappointment ahead of the highly anticipated fight with Jake Paul. He says there's more to it than being the best. You have to be entertaining, said Tyson. You have to be entertaining and exciting. They could beat anybody in the world, but they can't draw 5,000 tickets, fighters. You know, that's because they're not exciting. The way they make their money, because their opponents are very famous, got a big following. But there's people, I'm sure, they're talented guys that can beat anybody, but they look like shit, like watching grass grow, you know. As we all know, Tyson was a bit of an audacious fighter and certainly courted with controversy inside and outside the ring. But certainly modeled his approach, he says, after legendary Sonny Liston, widely regarded as the most fearsome boxer in the history of the sport. And Tyson didn't disappoint when he bit off Holyfield's ear. Anyway, quick little look at some numbers. The legendary boxer and iconic sports figure with a staggering $875 million in career earnings when adjusted to inflation has been ranked as the 16th highest paid athlete of all time. And Mike Tyson argues that today's boxers don't match the inflation-adjusted earnings of his era due to their cautious fighting styles and lack of charisma. Tyson mused on the impact of technology on boxing viewership. He said, "This is a funny question because of technology. More people are able to see the fighters now than they did when I was fighting. We made a lot of money when we were fighting for our time. These guys were making $15 million in the 80s. That's like $45 million now." But he also commented on the current state of boxing earnings. These guys are fighting now. They're not making money, though. Times are changing. They're just not making. Look, Terrence Crawford in the box. He's fighting Errol Spence, the best fight in the world. But he can't draw 5,000 people. You know, so there you go. There's Mike Tyson babbling on. I wish he'd have said something a little more coherent with respect to the live ticket sales back in the day as the only source of income, maybe perhaps merchandise thrown in there, um, maybe book sales after the fact, maybe TV rights. I don't know if those things were really being sold and earned by boxers, but certainly are these days, and more importantly, augmented by the social media aspect of Instagram followers, YouTube audiences, not to mention pay-per-view thrown into the mix. I was hoping to see more of a numbers kind of what we made versus what these guys today are making. They may be boring, uh, but some of these guys are incredibly wealthy for the reasons I stated. Now, speaking of money, Tyson Fury, as we all know, later this month is going head-to-head against Alexander Usyk for all the marbles. Maybe first time in over 25 years we're going to see an undisputed heavyweight champion. I guess unless it's a draw. But anyway, so I was asked to have a quick look at what are the prices for tickets that are available. Speaking of ticket sales, as we all know, the fight's being held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in a stadium, a new stadium that can hold between 30,000-40,000 people. Okay. On the undercard, as I said the other day, you got Joe Cordina and Dick Cage for the IBF Super Featherweight title, Jai Aptea versus Marius Brady for the IBF Cruiserweight title, and Sergey Kovalov versus Robin Serwin's Fire Cruiserweight battle, Isaac Lowe and Hazibullah Ahmadi featherweights going at it. So I was asked, how much it cost? Look, prices range from, the lowest ticket price on StubHub right now, $26. I'm going to say US, okay? And they range all the way from 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100, all the way through the hundreds, up to $16,000 a ticket, $20,000 a ticket. Doesn't stop there. $23,625 for a ticket to see Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. If you got the dough, have some fun. All right, let's speak some more money here, because I do enjoy this side of the business and the argument back and forth between who's making money, why they're making money, who's not making money, why they're not making money. Some guy who has made a lot of money, Canelo Alvarez. But as we all know, the big argument is he picks and he chooses way up the ranks. Anyway, there's a bit of a disappointment last year. Let's see, according to BoxingScene.com, right? The 30-year-old Alvarez came to something of a fork in the road when the support for his originally planned opponent, WBC middleweight champ Jermell Charlo, began fraying. Not only was there disappointment the way Charlo's junior middleweight champion twin brother Jermell fought with such disinterest in his September loss to Alvarez, but also Jermell didn't look sharp in defeating Jose Benavidez in November. Jermell didn't even show up for the fight, torpedoing the brothers' revenge angle of the bout. And that set in motion discussions between Alvarez and his team, including manager-trainer Eddie Reynoso and PBC founder Al Heyman. And as they huddled together over the two remaining fights of a 3-fight deal that had opened with Jermell Charlo, the question was posed by PBC, would Alvarez finish the contract by closing it with a September bout against unbeaten former super middleweight champ David Benavidez, 28-0, 24 knockouts. Okay. Alvarez's financial reward would be immense if he did, close to 9 figures, said one boxing official, but he balked at it. The official familiar with negotiations on the condition of anonymity because they're not authorized to publicly discuss these high-level financial conversations. Freedom of choice. Alvarez's ultimate power was applied. And since then, Alvarez has discussed that his interest in fighting Benavidez would be at a price ranging in between $150 million and $200 million US dollars. And that's raised speculation that Alvarez is talking in the not-so-subtle code to Saudi Arabia's new power broker, Turki Al-Sheikh, who is funding undisputed heavyweight and light heavyweight title fights over 2-week spans starting May 18th, as I just discussed, and then offering a loaded cross-promoted U.S. debut card August 3rd, headlined by unbeaten Terence Crawford, who will seek a 4-division belt against WBA junior middleweight champ Israel Madrimov in Los Angeles. Anyway, as he's also shown in the ring, Alvarez is astute enough to consider 2 or 3 moves in front of him. And he has expressed verbal fearlessness regarding Benavidez, who will attend Saturday night's bout against Jaime Munguia, telling ESPN's Stephen Smith on Thursday that if the money were correct, I'd fight Munguia then, beat that guy Benavidez the same night. I don't care. Wow. Notice the predicate, if the money were right. I personally don't believe he's ducking. A boxing official familiar with Alvarez's recent arrangement said he's at a different level and stage in his career now, and he's a little like Floyd Mayweather Jr. in that he's stubborn. The more pressure you put on him, the more he wants to do the opposite. His natural instinct when cornered is to say, fuck you. Anyway, during Thursday's Alvarez-Munguia undercard news conference at the MGM Grand, newly anointed WB super middleweight mandatory title contender Edgar Berlanga, 22-0, told Boxing Scene that he's 1,000% confident he will fight a victorious Alvarez in September. Wow. There's news. But speaking of Canelo, let's talk about Oscar De La Hoya for a brief moment. Again, sticking to the theme and fabric of money, making fights, not styles. De La Hoya has issued a cease and desist letter. We discussed this yesterday. A cease and desist letter to Alvarez over the latter's defamatory allegations after the super middleweight champion alleged he stole money from fighters. This is at the press conference the other day I mentioned. Ricardo Sestero, De La Hoya's attorney, wrote Canelo falsely accused Oscar of a crime with a specific intention of supposedly warning other boxers not to do business with Oscar or Golden Boy. Clearly, Canelo intentionally defamed Oscar and Golden Boy, the letter stated. Canelo's statements were also made with actual malice. Oscar and Golden Boy reserve all rights to sue Canelo for the damages caused by these defamatory accusations, including punitive damages designed to ensure Canelo learns his lesson. In response, Gregory Smith, an attorney for Alvarez, issued a statement to Coppinger, that's Mike Coppinger over at ESPN, about the cease and desist letter. Said, following the termination of his relationship with Golden Boy, Alvarez audited Golden Boy's payments and deductions under his prior contracts. The audit found that Alvarez was owed money. Court records show that Triple G, also audited Golden Boy and found that he had also been underpaid. Triple G then sued Golden Boy for the missing funds. Okay. After De La Hoya at this press conference spoke about some of his past issues and brought up Alvarez testing positive for clenbuterol prior to his 2018 bout with Triple G, Canelo responded by calling him an idiot and implied he took money from fighters. This is what he said. This idiot, this guy here to my left, try not to forget that I was already Canelo when I came to the United States, and they only profited from my name. He never lost a cent, but instead made money. He asked, have you already paid Golovkin what you wanted to steal from him? As we all know, Golovkin filed a lawsuit against Golden Boy in 2022, seeking $3 million in damages stemming from that 2018 bout with Alvarez. The complaint noted Golovkin wanted to be paid interest on the $9 million he was still owed in 2021 as part of financial upside of that fight. Alvarez previously fought under the Golden Boy Promotions banner before filing a lawsuit against the promotion, De La Hoya and DAZN in September 2020. He alleged breach of contract after DAZN refused to pay the $35 million he was guaranteed per fight as part of a 10-fight deal with the streaming service. But that lawsuit was settled 2 months later, with Alvarez allowed to become a free agent. Anyway, as we all know, Canelo is now scheduled to defend the undisputed super middleweight title against Jaime Munguia on Saturday night in a few days' time. Devin Haney says he doesn't want a rematch against Ryan Garcia after reports of Garcia testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs that have now surfaced after their April 20th fight over the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Devin now says he wants to go in a different direction, which, according to Ypres Isaac over at boxing247.com, he says it's a smart move for Haney. A second loss to Ryan would ruin what's left of Haney's career, and it was obvious from watching the fight that Devin is not equipped to handle King Ray's speed and power. Haney, 31-1, was pummeled in the fight, hurt numerous times, dropped on 6 occasions, and entirely overmatched in losing a 12-round majority decision. So, what does Devin Haney do? He calls up our boy in the UK, Eddie Hearn, and he says, this is what Eddie Hearn says, I woke up to missed calls from Devin and a text saying, call me ASAP, and spoke to him. And he's devastated because he's obviously, it's a very difficult for him to overcome the loss, but particularly difficult now to take the loss when he was 3.5 pounds over and a loss that he fought a man who had performance-enhancing drugs in his system. I believe everybody should have the right to protest their innocence. Unfortunately, in this situation, it's guilty until proven innocent. I've been there, right? Can you say Connor Ben? But one thing we 100% know in this situation is that when he entered the ring, he had performance-enhancing drugs in his system. That would be Ryan Garcia. So that's incredibly difficult for Devin Haney to take. And the fight will become a no contest, whether it is intentional or not. It was still in him when he fought. It's not fair, but every fighter deserves the opportunity, and now it's a tough fight. Ryan has now got to get himself together with Oscar and Golden Boy, and they've got to take this on. I've been there. I've done it for 2 years. I'm still going because I believe in my fighter. If they believe in Ryan Garcia, they'll have to take that fight with him. Speaking of UK boxing, I love this headline. Huey Fury to fight Patrick Corte on Jessa McCaskill versus Lauren Price card in Wales. So you got 2 heavyweights on the undercard of a female card. Isn't that great? Just quickly, Fury, he's 27-3. He's looking to get back onto a better track that he's been on after an extended period out of the ring. He did return last month, scoring a points win over Konstantin Dovbyashchenko, and now he's looking to have. Let's say get back into title contention. I really don't think he's going to get back into title contention, but nonetheless, Huey Fury going to take on Germany's big Patrick Corte. He's 21-3-1, 18 knockouts, and that'll take place in Cardiff. And also, actually, on that fight as well, undefeated light heavyweight Lewis Edmondson is set for action against another British rival, Joel McIntyre. So a pretty good card, but it is the undercard of Jessica McCaskill and Lauren Price going toe-to-toe, the headline main event. Good stuff. Let's conclude this show with some boxing and music news, kind of, sort of. Here it goes. According to the Daily Mail over in the UK, we all know who Ronnie Wood is. He's the bass player over in UK for the Rolling Stones. He also played in Jeff Beck's group, and also prior to that, the Faces way back in like the 60s. Anyway, famous guy, Ronnie Wood. But his son, it says here in the article, rather than strings, it's the ropes for 18-year-old Leo Wood, who has won the prestigious England Boxing National Amateur Championships in Derby. A member of Ropes and Glory Club in Chatham, Kent, Wood picked up his title for the under 57 weight class in the competition. Ronnie Wood, meanwhile, was also, that says nothing, but just about bands he's been in, such as the Rolling Stones, Faces, Jeff Beck group, which I already mentioned. Anyway, so a little bit of mixing and matching there to close out this show. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the fights are upcoming. We'll see you later on. I'm actually heading down to Jamaica for some major conversations with some promoters down there, and we'll talk to you in a few days. So remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on talkinfight.com, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, live Monday to Friday, except when I'm away.